Welcome, Michael. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, Theresa. Thanks for having me. Looking forward.
Me too. This was very interesting, a whole new system. So I'm excited to talk about it. But I thought maybe first we could talk about your story, your experiences that led you to create a financial system for success.
Well, basically, I've experienced quite a lot of things. When I was younger, at the age of 21, I was labeled underprivileged, lost for society, no good for society, kicked out of school, no good for nothing. Then I got that label, which gave me access to a fund to start studying again. So I was allowed to go back to school for a year. And then I started educating myself on the financial area, more or less accounting. Later on to economics, and I finally got my MBA. So finally, everything came all right. But it was a rough start, and in the beginning, I didn't have that much money because I was working in factories, so I really didn't have a dime to spend. But at the age of 21, I started learning again. I got my way up, let's put it like that. And at the age of 30, I found myself in a place as a finance director of a company that employed over 400 people with the salary attached to that position. So I came from not having anything to being a finance director of a huge company. I did that for about 14 years. And so I had a big salary, but I was always constantly worrying, what if I lose my job? What will happen? I will lose my house. I will lose my family. I will lose blah, 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 blah. Whatever you think you can lose. But of course, it didn't happen because what I know now, but I didn't know back then, your mind can make up all kinds of stories for the future that will never, ever happen. About at the age of 42, 43, I started my own company. So again, my income was already downsized to, let's say, less than 50% of my income as a finance director. But we anticipated, so that was okay. I had a software company and an accounting and tax company. And but the software company, that was a company that I'm not an IT guy myself. I think about the concepts and they have to realize it and I can check the output. But there were the small letters in the bottom of the contract. So it cost me tens of thousands of euros. I wasn't really, personally, I was in debt. But when I started my company, I started doing all kinds of education, including personal development. And that's why I already also ran into mindfulness. And then I started wondering, because when I was in debt, I had to pay the IT company. I didn't have that much stress, like not 10% of the stress I had when I was an employee as a finance director. It started wondering me. I thought, how is that possible? I don't have any money. I'm in debt, and I don't feel the stress, or hardly any stress. And then I started wondering, how is that possible? And then I combined the mindfulness part, because I'm also a mindfulness coach, not practicing it right now, but I did the education back then. And then I combined those two, and I came up with mindfulness, because in the financial world, there's so much stress about finances. That's incredible. And I want to help people to reduce the stress about their finances. And then I came up with mindfulness and I wrote my book.
Excellent.
So,
Yeah, I think a lot of people have stress about money.
yeah.
You note in the book that 72% of Americans experience stress about their finances, and that money is the biggest cause of stress in America. Yet there's no mention of stress reduction in mindfulness. And you even experienced resistance from mindfulness trainers on this topic. So I'm wondering if you can tell me why you think that is. Like, what's the problem with money and mindfulness?
Well, the exact reason why they were so resistant on the financial topic with combined with mindfulness, I really never ever got it. But what my guess is, what I understand is, the two worlds are so far apart, and it's when a lot of people say, you're a financial guy, you don't do mindfulness. If you're doing mindfulness, you don't do anything with money because money is dirty or whatever your conviction is. So my guess is that the two worlds were so far apart that it's too hard to combine for a lot of people to combine these two. But I think they match perfectly. But that's my challenge to to tell it to the people.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did. It's very interesting, and I really resonated with the what you wrote in the book. Um,
Thank you.
you you talk a lot about mindset because that's really at the heart of this, right? What
Yeah.
happens if we have a negative mindset about money?
Well, if you have it's usually very hard to find why you have that negative mindset and where it comes from, where the roots are from that mindset. When the seed is planted for to grow to that huge thing, huge fear or huge negative thing about money. And usually that's somewhere located in your childhood, and mostly in the somewhere between let's say your early memory started at the age of 4 roughly, and between the age of 4 and 8 years old, because then you have no critical mind. Your mind can tell you, doesn't question, is it true what I hear or what is happening, is it everything is true. So if let me give you a really good example. Everybody has somewhat like a grandpa or granddad or uncle that gives you from the best intentions, giving you, here you have $5. You can go buy an ice cream, but don't tell your mom and dad. Don't tell them. It's our secret. It's our secret. So imagine the mind of the 7-year-old. Money is a secret. Damn, I have to lie to my parents about money. Ooh, I don't want to have anything to do with money because I don't want to lie to my parents. So it's some small seed with the best intentions from grandpa, grandma, or an uncle or an aunt to give them some extra money. But then if it happens 1, 2, 3 times, the seed is planted. And then the neural pathway in your brain starts running. I don't want to have anything to do with money. I don't want, because I have to lie when it comes to money. I have to cheat or whatever. It starts growing in your mind. And if you run the same neural pathway hundreds of thousands times, it's really hard to find when it started and to change it. To change the path you ran over about 100,000 times. So there's so many different possibilities that seeds that can be planted. It's so many stories to tell about. Pocket money, for example. How did you get your pocket money when you were a kid? Did you have to work for it? That's another one. That's where the seed is planted from. You have to work for your money. You have to work hard for your money. If you had to do some chores in the household, or that you even had to clean the entire house, or whatever you had to do. And did you have to go and beg for your money with your parents, or did you just get it and go and do with it whatever you want? There's so many things. Everybody got some pocket money when you were a kid, but the way you got it, and the way if you had to work for it, work for your money. That's also a conviction a lot of people have. Free money doesn't exist. Well, there is, but for a lot of people, that's a negative mindset.
Right. Yeah. It took me a long time. I had a lot of money trouble when I was younger, and it took me a long time I had to unwind. Like, what is wrong with this? I didn't have a problem making money. I was uncomfortable holding money. Right. So I would spend it, give it away. I had this and it came from going to church by myself as a child. So there was no one to explain kind of what I was hearing with adults. And of course, that old money is the root of all evil stuck in me. So I understood it was okay to make money because you had to pay your bills or whatever, but it wasn't okay to have money. And it took me a long time to go, I've got to stop this. Because guess what? I always had just enough money to scrape by, instead of having any kind of security or savings month to month, paycheck to paycheck. And a lot of people are in that boat. So
most people. But
again, I think this is
everybody.
helpful.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Everybody has a financial comfort zone, and let's say your comfort zone is this level, and let's say you win the lottery. When you win over 5 million in a lottery. This is way above your comfort zone.
Yeah.
If you don't adjust your comfort zone to your new level, you will start sabotaging yourself just until you fit back in to your comfort zone. And that's well, in trainings and when I'm on stage, I ask a lot of people, if you win 5 million, do you think you will have to work ever in your life? And let's say 80% says, and I don't must work, but you don't have to work. If a lot of people want to work, that's okay. But 80% says, no, I never have to work. It's exactly the opposite. After a period from 3 to 5 years, 80% of the people that win a lottery prize from, let's say, 5 million is back to bankruptcy or to fit within their financial comfort zone.
Yeah.
So that's just all it's got everything to do with your mindset and how you think about money and you handle it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think you're right, though. So much comes from our belief system that got established somewhere early in childhood. And we just assume that's the way it is. And it's not. You can change it. So,
Yeah.
all right. How you cover how fear and worry prevent us from being able to seize opportunities, and that one of the ways to reduce worrying is mindfulness meditation, which you alluded to in your story about learning mindfulness. But why do you think that's so helpful?
Well, when it comes to seizing opportunities, the biggest barrier for people to start something or to do something is money, because their mind can make up 1,000 stories what can go wrong, and they don't want to lose the money because if they're within their financial comfort zone. So that's the biggest barrier. That's a fear of getting out of their comfort zone and out of their financial comfort zone. And if you start meditating and acknowledging the fear you have, the way you think about money, the way you handle it, and give it a place, just telling yourself this is the place that it is, and that's what it is, accept it, and then it's the barrier to start something new or to invest money or whatever you want to do with it is lower than before.
And
So that's why how mindfulness and meditation can help you to overcome the fears of the future, because fear is based or reliving the past, or most of
worrying
it
about the
fear for
future.
the future.
Yeah, absolutely. You include neurolinguistic programming as a tool to help you feel more empowered and to make better decisions. Can you explain what that is for our listeners in case they're not familiar with it, since we're mostly focusing on mindfulness in this program?
Yeah, like I said, I did some personal development trainings, and I'm not an NLP practitioner, but I did some trainings regarding NLP. And I found there some really helpful techniques that can help you to reduce the stress. And I think the black and white rewind is a little bit too long to describe, but let's say if you exaggerate everything, like you have a financial problem, and I'm doing it the short version, and you start exaggerating, and but my problem is bigger. But yes, I know there are people in Africa starving, but my problem is really bigger. Their problem is nothing. I know they're dying. They don't have anything, but my financial problem is really the big problem. I know there's a tsunami, but my problem is, then your brain starts telling me, oh, now you're going the wrong way. And then if you do it a couple of times, your stress level will start to reduce and see it in a normal perspective. Because what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And if your fear and your worries can reduce that, because if you start normalizing it. And another one is just, and I'm not going to do that. I do it in a theater show, but you can also use a sexy voice. Just in your mind, do it in your mind, because you don't want you want to hear anybody else talking to you in their sexy voice. And then just talking about your problem, and then also your brain starts telling you, nah, this isn't real. This isn't worry. No. And then it starts being a joke. And when it's a joke, it reduces your stress level. So that's just two out of the three NLP techniques I use to reduce the stress.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I think all tools, I think even recognizing that we can use a tool in itself is a mindful act.
Yeah.
I actually wasn't familiar with meditation when I was having my money exploration. I
Hmm.
use tapping is what I use to eliminate that
Okay.
root cause. But
Yeah.
and that's why I appreciate you sharing that, because sometimes a lot of people don't even realize these techniques are available and that you can learn them, and they're so beneficial. So thank you
Yeah.
for
And
that.
so easy to use and so easy
Yes,
to learn.
yes,
That's yeah.
absolutely. Great. Okay. So you also talk in the book about the importance of where we place our attention. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Everything you focus on will grow. Everything you put your attention to will grow. So if you just go around money, just don't pay attention to your finances, it's hard to imagine that they will grow. It doesn't grow automatically. If you don't water a plant, it won't grow. If you don't pay attention to your money, to your financial skills, to it just doesn't happen. It just flips through your fingers. It'll be gone. And if you manage your money, because that's basically, there's also one of the things. Just a lot of people don't manage their money, so they don't pay attention to their money, to their finances, and then they don't know all the bills. They don't know their the amounts that are written off automatically. It's then yeah, if you don't pay attention to it, it's not developing.
Yeah. And in the book, you cover a lot in the book, but I thought it was great that you cover a lot of these theories and general information about money. And then you talk really a lot about the mindset, because again, that's the
Yeah,
key to shifting how the money's going to come to you going forward,
yeah,
or how you're going to earn it. But you also include very what could be seen by some people, maybe in the financial world, as very almost simplistic steps to take. But a lot of people don't know the steps to take, how to create the budget, how to categorize expenses, all of those things that are why we don't learn it when we're in school. I'm not sure unless you take economics, but I used to be an accountant and I learned it all after school. I had to learn it, separately.
yeah.
But that's what it takes. It takes the
Mhm.
attention. It takes spending some time, dedicated time to it.
Yeah,
And we do it for other things, but for some reason, many people just don't want to look at the money part. So,
yeah. And also, but there are no complex formulas in it, because
right,
it's
right.
you just add the money, deduct the money, and you have your budget. But
Yeah,
it's the budgeting is all about making choices, and that's also something which happens in your mind. You can spend a dollar just once, and you can invest. You can invest it. You can spend it. Whatever you want to do it, but just do it consciously. That's also one of the things I tell ones that are in my trainings. If you spend your money, if you, and whether it's a card or physically paper or a coin, just 3 seconds before you hand it over to the cashier, or you just swipe your credit card through the machine. 3 seconds. What is in my basket, or where it's in? Is it worth it? Do I want to pay for it? How does it feel? 3, 2, 1, and then pay it. Or just a lot of people start, go back, put something back, or whatever. So you can do it in a shop, but also when you're shopping online, of course. It's easier when you're shopping online. Just just pause a little bit before the click button. We hit the button to pay what you want to have.
I think that's great advice. I actually do that with Amazon, because I started seeing a lot of Amazon deliveries. And I thought, okay, and it's not that a lot of what I'm buying is for work, but at the same time, that's money too, right? So I started doing this thing where I select what I think I need to buy. And then instead of clicking purchase, I actually get off this chair and walk away,
Mm,
go get a drink of water, go do something. And then I come back and look again. And a lot of times now, what I've noticed is as I'm looking, I'll go, I don't really need that one. So I'm still
yeah.
placing an order usually, but it does that little
Mm.
pause gives you time to, it's not an impulse buy. It's not a knee jerk reaction. I think that's great advice. I do want to thank you so much for bringing the two topics together, money and mindfulness, because I think that is actually a beautiful marriage for us to not only get our finances on track, but to have a much better relationship with money. Where can people find out more about your mindfulness program?
mindfulness.com.
Okay.
That's easy as that.
Excellent. No, we'll put
It's,
that too in the outro with the web address to go to.
okay.
And we'll put a copy of the book up on our website as well. It's available
Thank you
now.
very much.
And I thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It was a great interview. Thank you.